Sup, sunshines, Ori got the mic. While the world is falling apart with all these wars and stuff, I'm inviting you to recall to one of the greatest dystopian worlds. I'm talking about Bioshock, of course, and today we will try to see if one can still get delighted by this game. The game takes place in 1960 in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. Our protagonist, Jack, is flying in the airplane to his family, but something goes wrong. Screams, crashing sounds, title drop, and here Jack finds himself among broken pieces of the plane with miles and miles of water in every direction. The only way not to drown is a strange lighthouse. Jack steps inside it and the door behind him shuts dead. Here Jack sees caption, no gods or kings, only man. In lower room with all the fancy slogans, there is a bathysphere, and since the door out is shut, protagonist has nothing else to do but to get in this thing. On the way down, the screen slides covering the window, and here comes the presentation. The man, who has introduced himself as Andrew Ryan, starts to criticize all the possible ideologies with their flaws. And he rejected these ideologies and chose Rapture, a place where artists would not fear the censor, where scientists would not be bound by petty morality, and where bricks can handle deep ocean pressure with no problems apparently, though I must admit these water scrapers are impressive. Approaching the destination point, Jack hears a chat between two people through the radio. They are talking about upcoming bathysphere, which means about protagonist. At the destination point, through the window, Jack witnesses how a man gets killed by some mutated woman. Mutated people are called splicers here, so let's call them that way as well. After dealing with this passerby, female splicer also takes chance to kill Jack, but her weapon cannot break through the walls of bathysphere and she has to retreat. Right after, some man calls on bathysphere's radio. His name is Atlas, and in very polite manner, saying "would you kindly," he tells Jack to pick up the radio and take a step out. Jack has no choice but to listen, cause apparently Atlas is the only hope for Jack to survive. Atlas tells Jack to get to the higher ground for better communication. Soon enough the Splicer tries to attack Jack again, but Atlas sends signal pods after her soul and Jack can move further with no cares. Well, except other Splicers, but this time protagonist has a range and deals with them by himself. There Jack finds so-called Gatherer's Garden, with some strange vessel laying in it. Without a doubt, Jack takes it and injects the liquid inside himself with the syringe. Everyone would do the same, wouldn't they? Immediately, Jack starts to feel sick and eventually falls down on the first floor. In between states of being, Jack sees two Splicers ready to finish protagonist and split the loot, but their conversation gets interrupted by some sound and they run away. And here comes the symbol of the game, Big Daddy, genetically modified human in tough armor with a drill, and a little sister. Though these two are not dangerous at the moment, cause Jack is still alive and doesn't show any aggression, so they leave him alone. After waking up, Jack finds out he can shoot lightnings from his hand now because of that strange injection. It's called plasmids and it is unique and independent discovery of City of Rapture. Plasmids allow anyone to do almost anything, incinerate, freeze, the fucking wasp control. You just need to take a right bottle and inject the content in your veins. Pretty convenient, isn't it? When Jack takes the elevator, Atlas tells Jack about himself, how he has a family and he wants to get them out of Rapture as soon as possible, and Atlas's only hope is Jack. He asks Jack to go to Neptune's bounty where his family is and help them to get out of this city. So let's help this poor man to see his family again, shall we? On the way to Neptune's bounty, Jack sees a child. That is one of Little Sisters. They harvest and carry Adam, some kind of super substance which is used to create plasmids, but is addictive. That's why most of citizens of Rapture turned into splicers. Talking about splicers, here comes one of them and when he sees a girl, his head becomes full of filthy thoughts. But the girl screams and Big Daddy comes for the rescue, leaving no chances to this poor thing. When Jack approaches the entrance to Neptune's bounty, the door closes and alarm starts, as well as cavalry comes after the Jack's soul. Atlas tells Jack that there is another way through the medical pavilion, and when protagonist almost gets there, the door inside shuts and Andrew Ryan himself phone calls Jack and sends a bunch of splicers. Though Atlas manages to open the door in time and Jack escapes in medical. But in here the way to the bathysphere is closed as well and now Jack has to take a promenade around the medical to find the key to the bathysphere. The main figure here is Dr. Steinman, fully crazed surgeon who performs every kind of surgeries in pursuit of the ideal, but more often his patients are not satisfied with the result, and Jack has to kill him to get the keys, but firstly has to find him. Inspecting the area, Jack finds new plasmid, Incinerate. It's used to incinerate objects. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Anyways, when Jack is about to enter the surgery ward, Dr. Steinman himself blows up the entrance, closing the way. Now Jack has to turn around and go find the telekinesis plasmid to catch one of the grenades that been thrown and blow up the entrance again to make it open. After some time and some fights, Jack finds required plasmid and makes his way to the surgery ward. And here Jack sees Steinman performing the surgery, but it looks like he's just slicing everyone who lies under his knife, so Jack needs to stop his experiments and get the key in the first place. On the way back to Bathysphere, part of the tunnel has collapsed, so Jack has to take another route, and here he sees how Big Daddy gets killed and some splicer is about to kill a little sister for her Adam. But instead he himself gets killed by a strange woman who also threatens protagonist as well. This is Dr. Tenenbaum, the one who created Little Sister along with Dr. Sushong. But now she wants to rescue them from the terror she has done. She gives Jack a special plasmid which can cure a little sister, so here we face a choice. Either we harvest all the Adam and girl dies, or we rescue the girl, get less Adam, but girl will live her happy rapturous life and time to time we will receive gifts from Tenenbaum. And yes, these choices affect the ending. From now on, Jack will meet little sisters and big daddies on every location. To get to the sisters, he needs to kill their daddies first, and then he can face the same choice again, harvest or rescue. But we all here are kind and loving creatures and will never harm a child. We also want a good canonical ending, so rescue the girl, receive some words of gratitude from Tenenbaum, and move forward. And right away Jack meets a Big Daddy, so it's time to test his armor. Don't be fooled by footage, it was taken on easy difficulty, but even on medium Big Daddy starts cooking some hellish food right on the Hell Forge. Anyways, Jack manages to rescue another little sister and now is headed to Neptune's bounty to save Atlas's family. In Neptune's bounty, Jack receives a gift from Tenenbaum for saving the girls, and then protagonist has to pass through the door, but the door is closed by some man in welding mask. He says that he will let Jack pass if he brings the photos of 3 spider splicers. Well, there's nothing else to do but to bring him these photos. At least he gives protagonist a grenade launcher, and also threatens that if he knows that Jack is somehow connected to someone named Frank Fontaine, he will kill him. But Atlas reassures Jack that this Fontaine is dead and the man in welding mask is just insane and scared of ghosts. After obtaining the camera, which is used to do research on every type of enemies, and taking the photos of 3 spider splicers, Jack returns to the man and he lets protagonist pass with one condition. Jack has to put all of his weapons in the pneumo. So be it, Jack can handle everyone with just a range. And of course, this man with his crew will attack protagonist because they think Jack is working for Lone Gun Fontaine. Though Jack deals with them all easily, returns his weapon, and now he's entering in Smuggler's hideout to meet Atlas in flesh and save his family. And here is the Bathysphere where Atlas's family are. Before Jack presses the button, Andrew Ryan calls him and threatens. Though Jack presses it anyway, and here comes Atlas. He tries to get inside the Bathysphere, but suddenly a lot of splicers appear and now Jack hurries to Atlas to help him. And when he almost gets there, the Bathysphere explodes. Atlas is in grief, and Jack has no other way but to go to Arcadia, local oxygen farm which is basically a forest. Jack just needs to cross Arcadia, take a right in Bathysphere, and then kill Andrew Ryan for all he has done. But Ryan has another good plan. He starts poisoning the forest to kill not only Jack, but everyone in this city. Atlas says that there is a woman who can help save the trees, cause she has planted them after all. Her name is Julia Langford, and turns out she is in fact wanting to help. She asks Jack to bring Rose Gallica to her so she could make a cure to the mess Ryan did. When Jack takes one of these roses, splicers start appearing out of thin air one after one, but Jack manages to break through and deliver needed rose to Professor Langford. She lets Jack to enter her office, and now we see her doing something smart with all these chemistry things, but not for long cause Ryan decides to poison her as well as he has done to the forest. But Langford is really tough woman. Right before she passes away, she writes a code on the dirty window. This code is for our protagonist, cause with its help he can figure out how to cure the forest himself. He needs to craft Lazarus Vector and spread it through the tubes. For crafting, Jack needs 7 units of chlorophyll, 7 units of distilled water, and 7 units of enzyme. First 2 ingredients are basically everywhere, but enzymes are only in farmer's market in this section. Jack pushes a lever which releases smoke to comb bees, and then he can safely take enzymes out of bee houses. Well, not so safely, cause splicers will get in his way every time, but still. After collecting enzymes, I decided to have some fun and bought my favorite plasmid, which releases a swarm of bees on the enemies. I don't know, I just like how they struggling with these bees. Yeah, sometimes I'm a little bit too sadistic. Anyways, now it's time to cure the forest. Jack creates Lazarus vector on the workbench and starts spreading it through the tube system, but it takes hell a lot of time, so protagonist has to fight dozens of splicers while he waits. And when the process is finished, the forest turns green again, and Jack can now go after head of Andrew Ryan. To get to him, protagonist has to take another Batysphere in the fourth Frolic, but the Batysphere door closes right in front of Jack and it rides away. Also, Atlas's speech from the radio starts to fade until completely blurs, and here comes a call from Sander Cohen, local artist of some sort and genuinely crazy man. He invites Jack inside to play a game. On the stage inside, protagonist sees a man playing on the piano with dynamite attached to it, and hears how Sander Cohen is upset with playing skills of his protege. Eventually, piano explodes, leaving Jack alone in the concert hall. Cohen tells protagonist to take a photo of deceased man, bring it to Atrium and put it in a quadtech, final masterpiece by Sander Cohen. As a reward, Cohen gives Jack a crossbow and tells to go kill 3 other apprentices of Cohen, and bring photos of their corpses to Quatic to finish it. First of the victims is cosplaying Sub-Zero in Frozen Tunnel, but his cosplay definitely needs some improvement. For every photo, Cohen will reward Jack with something useful, like medkits, money, ammo, etc. The next victim is some kind of Unabomber. He tries to explode protagonist, but gets killed easily. Also here, Jack finds a brothel, where he finds out that one of the brothel workers, Jasmine Jolene, was pregnant with Andrew Ryan's baby, and that she sold the baby to Fontaine's company right after the birth. When Ryan had found out, he beat her to death with metal bar. And after this discovery, he meets the last victim, who has a running day-to-day apparently, but protagonist Bullet is faster. When Jack puts his third photo, Cohen's crazy mind decides that it is a good idea to attack someone who's helping you with your masterpiece, and sends a bunch of splicers, but Jack deals with them with ease. And after that, when the last photo is finally put in its place, Sander Cohen comes down to witness it with his own eyes, and to meet protagonist of course. Now the path to Ryan is clear and protagonist can continue his journey. By the way, it's not necessary to leave Cohen alive, so you can try to fight him, though he's tough enemy. Now Jack arrives in Hephaestus, the core building in Rapture where all the maintenance takes place. The door to Andrew Ryan's apartment is obviously closed, so Jack has to find the way to open it. And someone had already found a way. The system overload. This someone even made a device to make the system overload happen. Jack just has to collect some parts and finish it. After completing the Amy bomb, Jack starts messing
with geothermal control
to get to Ryan. When protagonist turns the valve all the way, magma starts flowing, and when it stops, the elevator is ready to bring Jack to the weakest spot in here. Protagonist puts the Amy bomb, and it overloads the system as expected, so one last jump and Andrew Ryan will be dead, for everything he has done. And when Ryan sees Jack, as he says, face to face, he tells that he can't kill the protagonist himself, so he starts the Rapture self-destruct protocol, so Jack has to stop him. And here we got to the room where Andrew Ryan has investigated who Jack is. As it stated in Dr. Sushong's audio diaries, Jack is Jasmine Jolene and Andrew Ryan's baby, whose growth was accelerated with Adam, and he was also easily controlled by verbal command, "Would you kindly?" His memories of a family were fake, the plane crash was fake. In fact, Jack has stolen the plane himself and made it crash in Atlantic Ocean. All of this just to kill Andrew Ryan. And here he is, playing golf and pondering about Jack. And when he leaves his golf room, we see how powerful Jack's mental control is. Ryan makes him sit, run, and finally, Ryan sends his last command to Jack: kill. And Jack, unable to resist mental control, does kill Ryan with golf club. A man chooses, a slave obeys, or something like that. Oh wait, Jack has to turn off self-destruction of the city with the Ryan's genetic key. And when he does, Atlas starts laughing. Turns out there never was Atlas. All this time it has been Frank Fontaine, who disguised as Atlas and controlled Jack to kill Andrew Ryan. And now, when mission is accomplished, he sends battle robots for Jack's head. But saved little sisters come for rescue and show protagonist a way to escape, though he falls and passes out. Jack wakes up in some kind of kindergarten Tenenbaum has done for rescued little sisters. She tells Jack a little more about this mental control, and also she has managed to remove part of it from Jack's mind. But Fontaine still can pull some strings. For example, now he makes Jack slowly losing his health capacity. Tenenbaum tells Jack that there is a way to cure him from mental control by taking a Lot 192 remedy, which must be in Tenenbaum's apartment. Though everything here is messed up by Fontaine's splicers and the needed sample is nowhere to be found here, but they must have taken the remedy to Fontaine's apartment. Lucky Jack to find the dead reporter's audio diary in which he tells the code to elevator that brings Jack straight to Fontaine's apartment. And oh boy, in comparison with the rest of Rapture, this apartment is ridiculously luxurious. Also here Jack finds another audio that explains a lot. It stated that Andrew Ryan decided to gather all the elites in one place so they can create without censor, but he didn't think that someone has to clean the toilets. As consequence, Fontaine created some kind of charity where he helped poor citizens to survive and provided them with jobs. So Fontaine's community was growing around his figure and they saw him as almost a god. When Jack finds Lot 192 and takes it, turns out that its dosage is not enough and it causes some side effects. The plasmids are unstable and random now, and we cannot choose it. To cure fully, Jack has to take one more of these samples, and it must be in Dr. Sushong's laboratory. And here it is, near a dead body of Dr. Sushong, and the audio diary about how he died. So now, when Jack returned his plasmids in all its power, it's time for revenge. We're going to point Prometheus to end Fontaine's outrage. At the arriving, Fontaine greets Jack with inflaming a floor, throws some big thing somewhere, and runs away to get ready for a battle. Jack starts to chase him, but he closes a big door. But it's not just a regular door, it's the kind of doors that can be opened only by little sisters. Tenenbaum suggests Jack to become one of the big daddies so he can guide a little sister to open the door. There's no other way, so Jack searches for everything to become one, and it's not that simple, because to be a big daddy, you have to look like one, sound like one, and even smell like one. And Jack starts to search. 3 samples of pheromones in the little sister's rooms, a voice identification device in a laboratory, a suit in an armor holding section, and the boots in a library for some reason. The last piece is helmet, and Jack has become a big daddy now. So he knocks the sister's hideout to summon a girl to open the door. And here comes an interesting part, cause cured little sisters still have a need to gather Adam, and while she is gathering it from the deceased, Jack has to protect her. Like, a lot. But eventually, the girl provides Jack to the final stop, the entrance to the battle arena with Frank Fontaine. The girl also gives protagonist the syringe, which will help in a fight. Frank Fontaine is now full of Adam, and I mean tons of Adam. And he got in shape before the summer, I must say. But he has to be killed, so Jack inserts the syringe in his beefy chest, starting the boss fight. There are 3 phases in between of which Jack has to insert syringe again. But when Jack does it for the last time, Fontaine seizes the initiative and starts to read his villain moral to Jack. Meanwhile, there are cured girls gathering around him and they start to poke him with the syringes until he finally dies. In the cutscene, one of the girls is passing Rapture genetic key to Jack, but he refuses. Instead of controlling the city, Jack brings all the girls back to surface so they can live a normal life, and that's awesome. And yeah, of course, there's another ending. If you harvest little sisters, then Jack is going to start nuclear war in the end. But it's not canonical, so we skip it. And that's the plot, sunshines. Bioshock is one of my childhood games, and honestly, when I was replaying it for the capturing, I was lightened up with joy. I'm sure most of you will share this feeling with me, though I can't deny its flaws. Shooting is pretty terrible for a shooter game. And yeah, you get used to it in some time, but for a person who plays mostly in shooters, that's not a good shooting system at all. Also, it's a bit annoying how we are forced to run through the whole location just to please some guy to open the door to the next location. And of course, this part where we have to protect little sister for a lot of time just to pass further. But all of it gets totally cancelled by great plot and detailed characters. Overall, this game was peak in its time and is still peak in terms of plot and storytelling. And as usual, thank you for watching, see you later, and I'm dropping the mic.